Okay, so thank you all very much for joining this evening. We will get started. Looks like almost everyone is here. And let me just mute everyone.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining. Akansha, yes. All right, so we're going to get started now. I'm just going to share my screen over here. So we had started chapter 13 the last time, and we went about halfway through. So we're going to continue. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So chapter 13, real knowledge. And if you recall, it was about knowledge, enjoy, and consciousness, which means the field, kshetra. What is the field? The field is body, as well as the world that we interact with. And then who is a knower of the field? And we talk about two knowers. So I'll very quickly go over that part again so that we can kind of catch up. So Arjun asked, what is this Prakruti Purusa? What is Kshetra, Kshetragya? What is Jnana, Jnaya? Right? So Krishna says, Kshetra means field, which is your body and the world that you operate in. And Kshetragya means the knower of the field, which is you, the consciousness. You are the soul in the body. And then there's also another knower of the field that knows all the fields. Sarva Kshetreshu Bharata. That is me, Krishna said. And then this is connected to knowledge also, because there's Kshetra, Kshetragya. What is he aware of? What does he know? So real knowledge is to understand what is the field and the knowers of the field, the two knowers. Okay. So then Arjun asked, can you give me more detail on this field? And then Krishna says, yes, I'll tell you more details. So the body, and it interacts with these elements of the world. So there are 5 elements: fire, air, earth, water, ether. And then there are the subtle elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. And then Arjun asks, what about the tools of that, the intelligence or intellect? So the 11, the 5 acting senses, the 5 input senses, the mind. So that makes it 11. Okay. And the objects of those are form, sound, scent, taste, and touch. Right? So some technical things. But this is basically all our experience. We don't experience anything beyond this. And we experience the thoughts which are in the mind. Everything comes within this realm. There's nothing beyond this. So is there anything else in the field? And Krishna says, no, that's basically it. The field means the world that you interact with, that you can see, which is made of 5 gross elements. And then your own body, which is made of 5 gross elements, plus the mind, intelligence, ego. That's 8 elements, right? And then you have the 5, the working senses. So you add the mind to the working senses and the input senses, so you get 11, like that. So basically, this is all there is. And then there are 2 knowers, the soul and the super soul. Okay. So then Arjuna asked the question, what happens when these things combine and interact? So when we have combinations of the soul in the body, which is alive now, the soul is experiencing things, but experiencing it through the false consciousness of thinking I'm the body. And so the whole combination of the mind, thinking along the lines of what feels good with the senses, you get emotions. Okay, and the emotions generated because the mind thinks something is good and something is bad. Something is worth being happy about, something is worth being sad about, something is worth being angry about, something is very confusing, something is very surprising, something is very generates love feelings. All these kind of emotions are actually combinations of the thoughts of the mind combined with the experiences of the body. Okay. So emotions are in the field, not in the field, no, right? Said yes, they are, but the connection is through the subtle body, the subtle element called chitta, which reflects the sentience. So because the person thinks that I am the body, whatever happens to the body and to the mind, the field knower thinks is happening to him. Okay, and that happens through a conduit called a chitta or subtle element. So Arjun says, how can I get a clear understanding? And so Krishna explains this is possible when we develop humility and sincerity. Then jnana takes place. Jnana means a proper understanding of this. So humility and sincerity give us two things, patience and honesty. And when you're patient and honest, then we can actually understand these things, not just collect the information, but gain an understanding. That's the jnana. Okay? So what do good students learn from their teachers? Good students learn self-control first, which begins with cleanliness and regularity. So these kind of things are not taught in modern day schools. It's not important to be, pure from sinful activities and all that. But this is the first step in gaining proper knowledge and understanding. Okay, so sense control means what? Or self-control. So essence of self-control, Krishna explained, is to diminish these ambitions that come out of our false ego. And what are those ambitions? To desire the exploitation of the field. Remember what is the field? Field is the world around us plus our bodies. So we're exploring or exploiting the world and the body for enjoyment. So self-control means to bring down that fever of that strong ambition, the strong determination that I can be happy by combining my senses with the objects of the senses. That determination needs to gradually come down. And this is found in all cultures, all religions. They say, don't enjoy so much, try to help other people, be selfless, be selfless. It's found this essence of all religion. No religion will say, yes, you must earn more money and enjoy. No, nobody says like that. This is the first point, self-control. How does a teacher help us to do this? By helping us to be aware of this flaw that is in the field. What is the flaw? The big issue in our situation is that the cycle of birth and death. That is actually a big problem. This is the verse, it says, Janma Mrityu Jara Vyati Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. To see that this is a flaw in our system. Not just accept it, that this is the way life is, nothing you can do about it. No, there is something you can do about it, and that's the point of this. That's the whole point of this. We can do something about this cycle of birth and death. Krishna Arjuna asks what happens when we, become better in this area of control. Then Krishna says it's like a liberation. You get freed from this addiction and this power grabbing that you try to do, that this is my property, these are my children, these are my friends, this is my everything, my money. Okay, then you feel liberated and you feel peaceful. Okay, so then is that peace the final goal? No, that peace is just the beginning. The final goal is true love. Okay, and that true love you can see in the picture over here is love for Krishna. Okay, and that will give us the actual happiness that we're seeking, not just the peace. Peace is just what comes before it. So then Krishna says, Arjuna asks, why should we seek solitude? So Krishna says, at least for some time, you must give yourself some time and space where you're alone and you can contemplate your true self and you can focus. So is this quest for divine love the culmination of knowledge and education? Yes, so that is the whole point of this exercise of spiritual life, is a divine love. And love means loving devotional service. It shows in form of service. Krishna says, yes, it is true knowledge and education begins from humility. That's the starting point, and ends or culminates in uninterrupted intimacy with the object of true knowledge. Anything outside what I've described is ignorance. So then Arjuna asks, what is the object of true knowledge? And the true object of knowledge, Gyeya, is that spiritual energy that comes from me. The wise describe it as beyond both existence and non-existence. So how can we conceive of something that is beyond both existence and non-existence? And Krishna says this is spiritual. Conceive of its hands, feet, heads, faces, everywhere. Know that it hears through every ear, it surrounds and permeates everything. This is Krishna talking from the point of view of Paramatma, because he's in everyone's heart. So he hears everything. Know it as the power of illumination in all your senses. This life force that's given to us, that comes from the Lord, despite being far beyond all your senses. It has no affections, yet is very affectionate to everyone. It is beyond qualification, yet completely qualified. So he says, this is my energy. Krishna says, this is my spiritual energy. It is within all living beings, yet beyond all of them. It is immovable, yet it moves. It is beyond full comprehension because it is so subtle. It is very far away, but also very close. It is indivisible, yet divided within everything. That object of knowledge creates, maintains, and destroys all things. So you see, he's showing the superpower, supreme power of his spiritual energies. Controls everything, is within everything, it upholds everything, it maintains, it creates, and also destroys. It's really in charge of the whole cycle of all the fields, all the kshetras. It is certainly the luminosity within all luminous things. So we describe it as beyond darkness. It is knowledge and the object of knowledge. And within the hearts of all beings, it is approached through knowledge. You see? So jnana, understanding and knowledge. That knowledge is actually in the heart of everybody. It just needs to be uncovered. So Krishna summarizes, look, I've answered your questions about the field and explained that the field knower is spirit. I explained that the Supreme Spirit is the ultimate object of knowledge, and I have described the process of attaining knowledge. So Arjuna always keeps coming back to this kind of question that, okay, but who can understand? What are the symptoms? If you remember, he keeps asking that because for him, he wants to really, really understand. How can it apply to him? Someone who's hearing this information, how can it apply to that person? So he says, yes, who can fully understand what you have said? Krishna says, you, someone like you. Okay, so what's special about Arjuna? If you remember earlier in one of the early chapters, Krishna says, Bhaktos ime sakha cheti, because you are my friend and my devotee, right? So here he's saying, someone like you can understand this. What is it about Arjuna? Those who have true devotion to me can comprehend all this in their effort to attain my intimate association. So remember this point. It is not that those who have high IQ can figure this out. It is not that those who have developed techniques of manipulating the world and are very smart can figure this out. What is the qualification Krishna has given here? True devotion to me. That means this information I've given you, it is so difficult to grasp for an ordinary person. But someone like you, someone who has genuine devotion for me, can understand all this. Why? Because I reveal it to them, and it is a byproduct of their effort to attain my close association, my intimate association. See? So this is encouraging, Arjuna says. Please explain the remaining terms, Prakriti and Purusha. So that was in the first verse, he had asked this question. What is Prakriti and Purusha? If you remember, there are 5 subjects in Bhagavad Gita. These are 2 of them. You know, Ishvara is the Purusha and Prakriti means material nature. So he asks this, what is Prakriti? What is Purusha? So Krishna explains, you must understand that matter, Prakriti, and spirit, Purusha, are both eternal, beyond chronological origins. That means, again, these are beginningless. There's no beginning. Matter is an eternal thing. If you remember those 5 topics, only one of them is not eternal. That is karma. Otherwise, Prakriti, Purusha, Jiva, and Kala.
No, not karma.
Yeah, so karma is not eternal. Prakriti, Purusha, Jiva, and Kala, the time factor, these are all eternal. So here he's reiterating that point over here. Actually, he's making this point here, that this relationship between spirit and matter also has no beginning. Matter has always existed and spirit has always existed. So Arjuna is a little confused because his experience of matter is that, okay, one day something is there and another day it's not there. One day this chariot is there, one day it'll be gone. And there's a time when there was no chariot. This chariot I'm sitting on was not there. So how can matter be eternal? It is constantly being created and destroyed. Good question, right? Exactly. Krishna says, it is in an eternal state of change. I mean, the change is the only constant, endlessly cycling through various delimitations. So the forms of matter do change. The manifestations do change. You can see Lord Shiva here is destroying universes with his fist. When he does the dance of destruction, the entire universe gets wound up and destroyed. And then Brahma creates, and then Lord Vishnu maintains, and that whole cycle is going on and on. But matter as a principle remains eternal. You see? But spirit is different. Arjuna asks, spirit has no such changes? And then Krishna goes back to that second chapter lesson, remember? It says spirit doesn't change. Spirit does not change in the same way that matter does. It's different, distinctly. Yes, spirit is alive, matter is not. It's understood that matter provides the mechanisms and substances of creation, and spirit experiences a sensation of change by identifying with these fluctuating substances. So let's think about it. We experience the change. We experience it through identification with matter. That's why this person, you can see, is changing clothes. One day he's thinking, okay, I'm wearing this nice maroon dress. I am this dress. And then it gets worn out. If you throw it, you get another one. You get this rainbow colored dress. I am this dress now. The point is that I'm not the dress. But we experience these sensations by identifying with these substances. So we identify with this body. In this life, I am a man in an Indian-looking body. Next life, I may be something else completely. In my past life, I was something else completely, for sure. I could have been another human. I could have been male or female. I could have been born in China or Africa or Europe. We don't know. And in this life, we sort of know where we were born and all that, but it's not us. You see? So it is understood that the spirit's identification with matter provides the experience of emotional transformations, pleasures, and pains. So our emotions are so rooted in this identification. Think about it. Why do we get excited when we do something new in our life? We're moving into a new house. It's very exciting, but that house is for this body, right? Oh, okay, then yes, we're going to have the child is born, a child is 1 year old. We're so excited because that's my child born from this body. We don't feel that excited when the neighbor's child is having first birthday. We feel more excited for our own child. Why? Because we identify with this body, with this, right? When I graduate, I feel very excited. It's my, and then I get a new job, I get excited. Someone gets married, you get excited. And there's grandchildren. It's like this same thing. The experiences, the emotions are invested in the pleasures and pains associated with the dress. That's all we know for the most part in our experience in life. And so it's very hard to extricate ourselves from this whole model. So then Arjuna asks the root question, how do matter and spirit become so tightly linked together? How is that even possible? Spirit becomes enmeshed in matter because it wants to enjoy the various things available in the field. That is why spirit embraces qualification and delimitation. This is who I am, this body. These are my labels, these are my qualifications. Okay? And takes birth in matter through various wombs. We accept a limitation too. This is my body, this is who I am. It's all I can do. That's a limitation too. Not realizing the spirit soul has so much unlimited potential. So we limit ourselves, we delimit ourselves, and then we qualify them. That's what called qualification and delimitation. And then we take birth in various kinds of wombs and species. Wombs mean yoni, species. The word yoni is translated as womb or species also. So we've gone through all the different kinds of species. You can see we've tasted life in all of them. Some of these very, very weird looking creatures, we've been through all of them, 8,400,000 species. I can't remember, but I've also been a gorilla or a baboon or a tiger or a turtle, even a cobra or a shrimp or one of these aquatics, or a spider or a tree. We've been through all of them because we want to try and taste life in various flavors. So Arjuna asked earlier, you mentioned that you are a type of field knower too. The knower of all fields. So do you also become enmeshed in matter like how we do? And Krishna says, no, 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 no. I am different. I am superior spiritual entity called Paramatma, super soul. I am the true controller, proprietor, and enjoyer of the field. What does that mean? That everything that happens in the world, Krishna facilitates. He's the one who makes things work. Even the atom, he's the one who enters each atom to make sure the atom is working properly. The super soul oversees and authorizes the will of the ordinary soul. You see? Oversee and authorize. Upadrashta anumanta. Krishna says in this verse, Aham upadrashta anumanta. I am the one who oversee your desires and the will. And then, depending on certain factors, I will authorize certain things to happen or not. My will is to become the richest man in the world. So Krishna is looking at me. Yes, okay, I see that's your will. But I'm not going to authorize that. You see, so just because it's my will doesn't mean it's going to happen. He oversees and he also authorizes. He only authorizes to a certain limit, everybody. And that authorization is based on his discretion, but primarily it's based on the rules that he sets, the rules of karma. So what is the result of understanding all this? Anyone who understands what I've said about spirit and the delimitations of matter will extricate their soul from material energy and never again take birth within it, you see. So now Krishna says that this is the point. Why are you understanding, going through all this? So you'll be able to come out of the whole cycle. Because how can I really understand all that you've explained? This is the process now, okay? It's not just you sit and study the book. This is a specific process for you to fully understand. Some do it by meditation, focusing the inner self upon the self within themselves. So you focus your mind, your consciousness completely within the Lord in the heart. Others do it by logic and reason. There's a whole study course, Krishna says, that you can study under a guru. Still others do it by responsibly being dutiful. You know that karma yoga part we talked about earlier. You follow your duties. And then there are others who are not particularly qualified for any of these paths. They can also transcend the mortal vision if they recourse to hearing about these topics from those who understand. So imagine if I can't meditate, if I can't apply logic and reason and go through the whole study course, it's very heavy. And also if I cannot do karma yoga properly, even then I can come out of this cycle. How? By hearing these topics. So Krishna emphasizes the hearing part. Just sit and hear Krishna Katha. Hear Krishna Katha and you will understand. So realization can be had from hearing. So Arjuna asks, when they attain a realized vision of the world, what do they see? Self-realized people, what do they actually end up seeing? They see this thing. Everything that will ever exist anywhere, sentient or inert, arises from the combination of the field and the knower. They see this. They look around. They recognize it. That tree that I see, the combination of matter and the spirit soul within the tree and the super soul in the tree. The squirrel that's digging into my plants. The squirrel itself is also a combination of the same thing. The plants themselves that I'm trying to grow, they're the combination of that. My friend, my relatives, everybody is a combination of these three things. What is that? The field knower primary, and the field knower super soul. So the Supreme Master is equally situated in all entities. Paramatma is there with everybody equally. Things that appear to be destroyed are indestructible. They realize, even though matter is being destroyed, ultimately the principle of matter is indestructible. And they see this because they truly see that nothing is actually getting destroyed. And we learn in physics also, you can't destroy matter, right? It's all about matter and energy. You can't really destroy it. It just changes form. Same thing with energy. You cannot destroy energy, it just changes form. You can change it from heat to light, light to potential energy, to kinetic energy, so many things, but you cannot destroy it. So what results from such a vision? If you see God equally situated everywhere, your mind will never lose touch with your soul. We tend to lose touch with our soul because we keep thinking we're the body. But if you see God everywhere, then a spiritual connection is always there. And then you realize that I'm not the body. So God has to be the focus in our realization of the self. That is the point. if you realize God everywhere, you see God's presence everywhere, you will achieve the supreme goal. And that is the fundamental teaching of Krishna consciousness, to be conscious of Krishna. Now, there are so many different people and things. How is it possible to see oneness and equality? They all look so different. You know, my neighbors, I like them very much, but my neighbor's other guy, I don't like him at all. And then these people are my friends, but those people, they used to be my friends, but now they're not my friends anymore because they talk badly about me, you know. And then that whole country is my enemy. Anybody from that country, I'm going to kill. You know, that whole difference is oneness. How do you do that, you know? Difference of people and things. This is good, this is bad. How is it possible to see oneness and equality? So Krishna explains that these differences are in the field only, not in the field knower. These are only external differences. A person born in North Korea in this lifetime, next lifetime born in South Korea. They hate each other. They are mortal enemies. But it's a difference in field only, not in the field knower. The soul is pure. So all deeds and endeavors occur in the field and by the field. The field knower, which is the soul, is not truly involved in any of it. That is real vision. Try to see it. He's not involved in it, but experiences it. That's the problem. That we are the soul, we are pure, fine, but we do experience it. And to the degree that we identify with the body, we not just experience it, but we suffer. So suffering is a result of misidentification, not experience. If I'm coming home from work and I see my house is burning down, my family is outside and they're all crying, look, our house burnt down. And then I tell them, no, don't worry. You know, I just last week I got a multi-million-dollar insurance policy on this house, just specifically about fires. And then everyone's happy all of a sudden. Why? Because actually it's a good thing the house burned down. Now all of a sudden, why they were crying, now they're happy. So basically they are not in the house. They're not, it's just about identification, you know. You're not connected to that anymore. It's gone. But you're happy about it. Why? So one thing makes you happy, one thing makes you sad. It's about identification and possessiveness. That's the real vision. Actually, the field knower is not affected by these ups and downs of the world. So to see oneness, I have to focus on seeing the soul in everyone and everything. Yes, Krishna says, but even if you focus only upon the field, you will find it is all essentially one, despite the infinite variations in its appearance. Even if you're just looking at your body, if you're just looking at the world, even if you just come to the conclusion that all these things are just external manifestations of things, they're just expansions from that one singularity of the field, that is all expansion from the Lord, who is the singularity. Right? Just try to see that. Try to see the truth of this theory and you'll have a spiritual vision of the world. If you understand that theory behind the world, then you'll understand that actually there's a spiritual basis for all that we see. Even this world, even though we have a difference in matter and spirit, the world originates in spirit. So the bodies that we see, our own body originates in spirit. So that realization will also help you become realized, self-realized. See, that's another angle. You can become self-realized. Does the field knower blend into the field and become something new, something different from what it originally was? You know, so because I find myself in this field, I've entered into this field, which is the body and the world. So when I enter, do I become something else altogether? And Krishna says, no, the soul is distinct, right? Arjuna, the field knower dwells within the body, but does not blend into it and does not truly do anything with it. Right? We do not become matter. Just because we misidentify with matter doesn't mean we blend into it. Oil and water will not mix. The field knower is a causeless entity. Beyond these delimitations, inexhaustible and superior to the field, much, much more superior to the field itself. And so it will never blend into the field. It is just experiencing the field and trying to exploit the field because of misidentification. So how can the soul within the body is living in the body, how can you not blend into it and become implicated in it? So then Krishna gives the analogy, isn't space within everything yet quite distinct from everything else? See, space as a concept is in everything. If you have a glass, there's no water in this glass, but there's space in it. But even if there's water, space is still there because space is just about the 3 dimensions. So space is there in everything and yet also distinct as a concept. Similarly, the soul is spread all throughout the body, yet remains distinct and unblended. It never really mixes with the body. It just connects with the body. But it always remains separate in one sense. So if it doesn't blend with the body, then what's the point of spreading through it? Arjuna asks. To spread the illumination of consciousness. So consciousness is what is the symptom of the soul. The sun is another example of something that spreads everywhere, yet remains distinct. Just as one sun illuminates the entire world, the field knower illuminates the entire body with consciousness. So think of the soul in your body like the sun, and the consciousness as the light. Those who see the body and the soul with the inner eye of knowledge liberate their spirit from matter and progress towards the supreme. This is the point. These different analogies of the field and field knower is for us to concretely understand how the soul stays within the body, how it is distinct from the body, and yet it identifies with the body, tries to exploit the field, which is the body and the world, for its idea of happiness, and how the super soul is the one that facilitates everything, upadrashta anumanta. So these are the key points that are covered in this chapter. Okay? Quite a few good points were there. So thank you very much. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Let's see. Okay, we finished it. So we're done with chapter 13. It's a little technical chapter, a lot to think about. Padma Mataji has a question or comment. Go ahead, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, everyone. I probably this question was asked in the previous session, and I'm just a little dizzy about it right now. So where does mind really feature in this whole scheme of things? Like without the mind, how do we even understand anything at all? So where does mind come into picture? Like there's good mind, there's bad mind, which is leading to good and the bad in terms of karma or thought process, anything at all. So is that part of the soul, or what is mind, and how do you relate it in terms of like soul? And okay, there is body and soul, which we understand it's different. Where does mind feature in this?
Yeah, so that's a very good question. But let's have a conversation around this. If somebody were to ask you, what is the definition of the word mind? How would you define it, Mataji?
I don't know. Now I'm confused. I have probably said before, it's my ability to think, right? It's my your intelligence, or it's an ability, but I don't know what it is. Like is it somewhere resting inside our body, or where is this mind existing? We can't see it, we can't feel it.
Exactly. That is my point. My point is that we do use the word mind a lot. And for the most part, the way we use the word mind, it works perfectly fine. The word, it conveys the meaning. In my mind, I was thinking that I think next year we should make a trip to South India. So people understand, okay, I understand. It's in your mind, some idea you had. But in Vedic psychology, especially when we try to understand in Bhagavad Gita, the mind has a very specific definition, which is why it is important to know that definition in context of the teachings of the Gita. Okay? So yes, mind is definitely a place where we get thoughts. So that is definitely a very like a general understanding, and most people have that understanding and it works. And also in the Gita definition, it does fall within that realm. Okay. However, in the Gita and in a Vedic understanding, the subtle body is what we want to clearly defined. Subtle body has three components. One is mind called mana. The second is buddhi or intelligence. And the third is ahankar, which is ego. We generally don't use those terms in common language in the way it is used in the Gita, generally speaking. We use the word intelligence. Oh, that boy has a lot of intelligence. What does that mean? I mean, he's good at math, he's good at reading, he can explain things nicely, he has a good logical sense, his intelligence is very sharp. So that is there. And then sometimes say his mind is very sharp. So we use those terms interchangeably in common language. In the Gita, it has distinct differences, okay? So the mind is the part of our consciousness or our subtle body that is defined by two things. It is a repository or a storehouse of our desires. Okay, that's one aspect of it. So it's like imagine you have a whole memory bank of all the desires that we've generated in our lives. I want to do this, I want to do this. And those desires are based on two things, sankalpa and vikalpa. Sankalpa means accepting something and vikalpa means rejecting something. So this is good, this is bad. I like vanilla ice cream, I don't like chocolate ice cream. So in my mind, vanilla is good, chocolate is bad, right? So these are like desires and preferences. And sometimes, a lot of the time, those desires and preferences change also. What I used to like 2 years ago, don't like anymore. What I didn't like before, I like it a lot. Those are based on my idea of sense gratification. This feels good, this doesn't feel good. So the mind is very much attached and very close to the senses. If it feels good, you do it. The mind tends to be very childish. The mind makes decisions based on what feels good and what doesn't feel good. Okay? Now the intelligence is the next level higher than the mind. Intelligence is that faculty that allows us to do reasoning. Reasoning based on its understanding of what is good as a long-term goal. So, one classic example is that I am sick and I have to take a spoonful of very bitter medicine. So my mother gives me the spoonful of bitter medicine, put in my mouth, it tastes so bad, I want to spit it out. Mind says, spit it out. It doesn't feel good. Intelligence says, no, mind, you be quiet. This is good for you. It'll help you with your fever. Okay. So the mind is a childish part. Intelligence helps us override the impulses of the mind for a higher goal. Okay. The higher goal is to get better. So then there are studies on this in psychology, modern psychology. Those people who are very successful in life in general, they have the ability to delay the gratification of the senses. Those who in college, they just want to hang out, get drunk with their friends, they don't do so well in life. But generally those guys who avoid the parties and they study very, very hard and they get the top degrees, they end up, they're a deep thinker. They'll sacrifice immediate happiness or immediate fun for a much longer term. They'll make a lot more money. They'll end up being deeper thinkers and so on and so forth. This is a general example. So they're considered more intelligent. Intelligent means they override the impulse of the mind for a higher goal. So that's where intelligence comes in. So the function of the mind is to accept, reject based on what feels good. And then based on those experiences, we create a bank or a reservoir of desires. The intelligence is a faculty that allows us to override the mind and use some reasoning skills also. Okay, so that is some of the function of intelligence. And the ego is this understanding of who I think I am. So I feel I'm this body. And so that is going to drive my life. I am this kind of person. So I need to take care of my family. I need to help other people. And this is who I am. I'm an Indian. So I need to work for India. Whatever, this kind of identification is what drives our life. Okay. So those are the three elements of the subtle body. So now mind and intelligence, they need to be purified. How to purify them? To reorient them through understanding of priorities of life. That Krishna is my priority now. Krishna conscious is my priority. Spiritual growth is my priority. So how do I realign? My intelligence that I've been using to keep my mind in line, I have to first spiritualize my intelligence. Train my intelligence to help me control my mind and senses. So then my mind can focus on spiritual life. So mind is the one that gets all excited about different things. So if we can train our mind to get excited about Krishna conscious things and less excited about the materialistic things or selfish things, then that is a gradual training of the intelligence. So intelligence needs to kick in. But if my intelligence itself is impure, if I'm using higher intelligence to do evil things, people who do major evil things, they're very smart, some of them. They need also intelligence to study hard, but they do a lot of destructive things in the world, villains, So that way I need to purify intelligence also. I need to purify mind also. And by doing so, I can end up purifying my senses. That's why intelligence, mind, and senses, they all need to be worked on with the spiritual goal in mind. That is why we use these terms, mana, buddhi, ahankara, and then the 5 senses. So I hope Mataji that clears it. This definition, we'll talk about it quite a lot, often because the mind is a very important point.
Yes, very, very clear explanation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mataji. Good question. Minash, you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question. As you rightly mentioned, there are 84 lakh species or living objects. So how do we align our consciousness to that living object, or those living objects rather, to obtain liberation? Because it's practically impossible to avoid any consciousness towards those 84 living objects, right? Species of life. And how do you obtain liberation to get away from this whole cycle?
Yes, good question. Good question. So how this works, when we are in this human form of life, we have a very rare opportunity to actually come out of material existence. When we are in a non-human or subhuman form of life, like a cat or a dog, we don't have that opportunity. Okay. When I'm a human, I can do good karma and bad karma. When I'm a dog or a cat, I cannot do good karma, bad karma. There's no such thing as karma for dog and cat. And how does that work? Because only humans' decisions actually matter in terms of whether they move upwards, downwards, or sideways. Whereas a dog and a cat and any other lower species, they only move upward because they cannot be held responsible for following their instincts. Their instincts are just what's built into them. And so if I behave like a dog in this life so strongly, then my next life I will get a dog's body. Now that dog's body is a reaction to my strong desires and my activities in this life. But once I'm in the dog body, I cannot do any more sin. I just need to work back up from the dog body, then I get on the better body, then maybe cow body, then from cow body you get in the human body. So you move upward again. So if we are stuck in any lower species of life, there's nothing much we can do. We just move through it and we go through all the different species that we are supposed to go through based on our karma. Okay. Now, once we are humans, we don't need to worry about those animals and those species because there's not much you can do. We need to focus on moving higher up. You see, so the karma only applies to us humans. Also, the bridge to the spiritual world is only available in the human body, which is why the human body is considered very, very rare gift from the Lord. Because think about all the living entities around us. How many are human? Most of them are not human. Just think about even this house that I'm in, just this plot of land. There must be at least 30 million ants, termites, little bugs, bacteria in the trillions, Just within my own body, there'll be bacteria, So just think about that. And out of this, how many humans are there? Only 4 humans in this house, as far as I know. I have to check the attic, make sure no one is hiding there. But not that many humans, you see. It's very rare. So therefore, the scriptures, they remind us that let us take this human life very seriously and use it for Krishna consciousness. The 84 lakhs, they're always there, I'll give you one analogy. The analogy given is, imagine there's a turtle that is swimming underwater in the ocean, okay, between 2 islands. And the distance between 2 islands is 100 miles. And turtle comes up, pops its head up every 2 miles of swimming. Now imagine the tire floating, of a tube floating in the middle of those 2 islands. And the turtle just happens to pop its head up. And that head pops just between the tire only. Imagine the probability of that happening. It is so small. us getting a human life is that much probability, low chance, is completely durlabh. We have gone through so much, and now finally we have the human form of life. If now with the human form of life we misuse it and use it for what animals do, then it's like complete waste, and they will be given a better suited animal life. That is the point. That's why scriptures implore us, take this Krishna consciousness very seriously as a human. Don't waste any minute.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Akansha.
So intelligence will help to activate our subconscious mind, or subconscious mind is the other thing? Because we read so many books, like if something we fix on in our subconscious mind, then it's very easy to make a habit.
Yes, that's a good point. So you brought up this very important aspect of subconscious mind. And what is subconscious mind? Because it is a mind that we are not conscious about. But there is such a thing as subconscious, right?
Yeah, because controlling mind is very difficult. If we think like we have to do something and it's very important, we know like it is very important, but controlling mind is like impossible till that time. Yeah.
Yes,
so
correct. In fact, we discussed also in the 3rd chapter.
I was not there that time.
Yeah. But I'm just want to reiterate. Arjuna asked this same exact question. He says, Chanchalahi manah Krishna pramati balabhatridam tasyaham nigraham manye vayureva shidushkaram. That to control this mind is as difficult, more difficult than controlling the wind, the raging tornado.
Yes.
So then Krishna says, yes, it's true. It is very difficult to control the mind, but it is possible by 2 things. I don't know if anybody here remembers what are the 2 things Krishna says.
I don't know if it is devotion and meditation.
No, it was very specific.
Okay.
There are 2 very specific things. It's kind of related to that. But one is called Vairagya and the other is Abhyasa. Practice and detachment. If you recall, those are the 2 things. So Krishna says, yes, very difficult, but 2 things will help us. So help us, this subconscious mind that Akanksha Mother you're talking about, is when we practice something repeatedly, then the subconscious mind becomes trained, and even in our sleep we'll react the right way. That's what subconscious means, that even in our unconsciousness we'll react the right way. That is called practice. And Vairagya means gradual detachment from our connection to matter, from our addiction to enjoy different things. So if we work on detaching and work on practicing the spiritual aspects, so basically negative and positive both. We give up things that are destructive and we take up and practice things that are constructive to spiritual life and to spirituality. Then what happens, then even a subconscious gets aligned. And the subconscious is what operates when we sleep. That's what drives our dreams. That's what we mumble in our sleep. Some people mumble something in their sleep. Why the mumbling? The mumbling is also a reflection of subconscious. We have no control over it. But if we think about something all day in, day out, we'll mumble about that also at night. You see? If I love a particular person and I think of her day in, day out, watch her photographs, talk to her on the phone, talk to her in person, and then, we go out together, we discuss so many things, day in, day out, I'm in love with that person. Then at night, I'll be mumbling about her only. That's the subconscious kicking in, you see. So same thing, if you're focused completely on Krishna, serving Krishna, discussing ideas that Krishna taught, discussing Krishna's pastimes, talking to different Krishna's devotees, learning about their lives, and preaching about Krishna, focusing on Krishna primarily, then what happens? Then our subconsciousness also will become Krishnaized. That's called spiritual realization.
A little bit loud, Mama.
All right?
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Good question. All right.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions or comments? Okay. So I think we can do Kirtan now.
Yes.
Kirtan group, Madhu is here. So that means we can do Kirtan now. So before we start Kirtan, I just want to make one announcement. Those of you who may not be aware, one of our very prominent leaders in ISKCON His Holiness Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj left our vision. He departed his body this last Saturday. It was very tragic, very sad, and we are all still reeling from it. And throughout the week, all devotees have been having different gatherings online and different meetings and bhajans and kirtans and discussions and remembrances and so on and homages. So we've been kind of doing that. And what is unfortunate is that Maharaj passed away because of COVID, the COVID virus. It was in Florida only. And he contracted it somehow, maybe in his travels or something, we don't know. But it took him very quickly, in a matter of just a few days, really. So the announcement that I wanted to make is I want to request all our members here to be extra careful and cautious, because this virus is not over yet, as you can very well imagine. It is also spreading very fast in America. And so we want to strongly encourage all the devotees to, completely, very strictly follow all these guidelines that are being issued for health, wearing masks or whatever, minimizing our movements, minimizing big gatherings and so on. Just do it for emergency purposes and things like that. Anyway, just use your best judgment is basically what I'm saying. And we pray that all of you remain strong and healthy for a very, very long time, and that you can take full advantage of this opportunity that Krishna has given us in the human form to become Krishna conscious and to make substantial spiritual progress in this life. So this is just I wanted to announce and express our concern for all of you who are very dear, close friends of ours, to please take that extra precaution as far as possible. Yeah. Do you have any other?
Yes,
statements?
my cousin in Florida, she lives there. I'm worried for her too, because a lot of cases I hear in Florida.
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add, Soham is not feeling well, so we just got his test done. But I think it could be anything, but we are surprised too, because we don't even go out, right?
Yes.
So for everyone, right, it's you never know, right? Be careful. You never know, if anything will happen. We have no concern, but right now we have to quarantine just because of any small thing, right? So we can't go out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Just everyone be careful, right? Because you don't want to be in this situation.
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
thank you so much.
Thank you for letting us know. So let us all pray, and let us all be extra careful. Yes,
I
ma'am.
also would like to add that my husband's colleague also contracted COVID with absolutely no contact, not going out, anything. So the suspicion is that it's either from mails or through the groceries that has come in, because she also hasn't gone out at all, like not even like stepped out. So yeah, we need to be careful of, it's been like quite some time, and we think, okay, I don't need to clean this so much or whatever. So we kind of like relax a little bit. So probably that has happened. I'm not sure, but that is also going on, like without, going out. It's happening.
Mm-hmm. Was this New Jersey, Mataji?
No, this is India, Bangalore.
India. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you. So, okay. And so we can have Kirtan now. Okay.
Yeah, Minash Prabhu's father needs discharge. You know?
Yeah.
oh, thank you so much for that. Hare Krishna, and hopefully Som gets well soon.
Yes.
It's never fun moment or never,
No, it's not. It's not.
Yeah, it's.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jai Go Pranande, Hare Hare Go, Shri Prabhupada ki. So thank you very much for joining. Soham Prabhu.
So good to see you, Soham.
કેવું છે સોમ તમે તાવ આવે છે કેમનું છે?
Chale che, it's okay. It's been going on since last Sunday.
Oh, okay. Hopefully you can just knock it right out, Yeah.
Yeah, it's not all the symptoms, but there are like 2-3 symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, right now,
So
Audio jatu રહ્યો.
hold on. I'm ભૂલથી mute થઈ ગયું.
કોનાથી?
No, not from us.
Yeah, maybe sinus,
it could
maybe
be
sinus
anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who
or
knows?
Could be
something.
allergies, yeah. Could be anything.
Yeah, so it's 2 or 3 symptoms that I have.
Be
So
careful.
they say it's better to get it tested
Yeah.
So you got the test done. When will you get the result?
next Thursday.
They can say
before
up to a week because they're
before next
backlog.
Thursday.
What kind of test was it? The swab in the nose?
Swab.
In the nose, right?
Yep.
All the way back to the head, right? They take it. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
All the way inside.
No, you have to do it yourself. They don't come near
Yeah,
you.
they don't administer. They basically guide you through the process step by step. You do this, you do that.
But it's a long one. It goes all the way.
Yep,
That's it,
it
yeah,
goes.
it's
It's this big and it goes all the way up.
All the way inside, yeah.
Yeah. They say the basically the side that's most congested, that you do that side first and then do the other side afterwards.
Oh, you have to do both sides. Okay.
Yeah. You do both sides, but the sides that is most congested, you do that first.
Well, let's hope that everything is good and that you can kick it out pretty soon.
Yep. Nothing. એ તો ઉકાળો બનાવે છે, નાશ basically. Well, and
Steam
that's it. Yeah, the steam. Yeah, the steam and ukado and all. Yeah.
Just a thought. Shouldn't you be away from the family till you get the results? Just my thought. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, right now it's just basically before even I caught it or I felt it, we were together. So even if she were to catch it, she basically would have
No,
caught
but
it.
it's always better to be cautious. I'm just thinking. It's your choice, but
yeah.
It's not two of you, right? It's not like you have 10 people in the house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But
be safe, guys.
Yeah, be safe, guys.
Yeah.
And definitely, take all the herbal treatments that you can think of, the steam and this and that. I think it'll be nice. You know, it might help with that. Yeah.
Yep.
તું પણ સાચવજે તું
હેતુ ને કશું નહીં થાય.
ભગવાને ઘરે ઘરે ગરમ પાણી ને બધું આપે. ઉકાળો બનાવે છે, મમ્મી બનાવે છે ને એવું.
સવાર સાંજ એ જ કરું છું.
નહીં આખો દિવસ આપે.
So thank you all.
સારું થઈ જશે.
Hope you feel better. Thank
Yes,
you,
yes.
Bye. Thank you, Hetu, Soham,
Good luck to you.
Ashish Prabhu, Esha, Akansha Mataji,
Please stay safe.
Rasapram
everyone.
Prabhu.
Please,
Hare Bol.
Kinjal Mataji, Minash Prabhu,
Hare Bol.
Pavitra Mataji, thank you for joining. Prem Chaitanya Prabhu, Vijay
Hare
Shem.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hope you feel better.
Hare Krishna,
Bye,
Prabhuji.
Priya.
બધા prayer કરજો એને જલ્દી સારું થઈ જાય.
Yeah. We'll all pray for you. We'll all pray for you. Everyone, please pray. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.